Hello, it's Roshan Curie here with another video all about painting, with a difference this time. Welcome to my channel. I've got something really different for you today. How do I put this? For a great many years, so long that at this stage sometimes I'm not even conscious of it because it's been going on for so long. I've wanted to paint a certain way. I suppose when in my 30s, when I was having kids, I had this vision of massive oil paintings that would be bright and colourful. And it wasn't that I had to paint in oil. I just wanted to make bright, colourful paintings. By the way, this very, very heavily dressed scenario is because this is Ireland. And in Ireland, the weather can go from beautiful sunny weather to freezing and rainy and then back again in the space of like a day. And we're just entering the end of a beautiful sunny period and going into a really wet and cold period. So anyway, I've managed to keep warm. I've got about 1,000 layers on. So all these years I wanted to paint in a colourful, bright way. And I absolutely love working with watercolour, especially the incredible artist quality watercolours from Roman Schmel that I use. But when I first started painting as a teenager, well, I started painting as a child, but I was about 13 or 14 when I started getting serious about it. My first medium was gouache, and I learned to control my gouache by painting Japanese ukiyo-e prints. I made reproductions of them. I did so many of them. I tend not to do things by halves, and I went all out. So that's what I did. I did those for a long time, maybe 10 years or more. And then I discovered watercolor, and it was so quick and easy that, and I found I could use an ink pen with watercolor in a way that I couldn't with gouache, and that was a big thing for me because I love a beautiful line. Roll on 30 odd years, I've been using watercolor all this time. But I still had at the back of the mind, fun painting, big. And over the last few years, I've painted some very large canvases in acrylic. Absolutely love using acrylic for the kind of thing I want to do, which is very fantasy oriented. But I have found my way back to gouache. I recently took a Domestika course where the way of using gouache was extremely well explained. It was by Maru Godas, and I highly recommend that you take that course. Domestika courses aren't expensive and they're very accessible and so on. But her course was really, really excellent. And not alone did it reawaken in me my love of using gouache, because I've used it on and off all the time, I suppose, for the last, 30 odd years. But she introduced some new techniques that wouldn't have occurred to me to use. For example, I've always thought of gouache as a medium that is used quite opaque. But in this particular course, Maru explains how to use it in a very diluted way, if you wish to, for different effects, and how to use it very thick. Obviously, the latter I knew about, but I'd never liked the look of gouache thinned down. And now I do. I've learned a lot of techniques. So in today's video, I am going to show you my first foray into gouache in that style, bearing in mind how many years I've been using gouache. I've been using gouache for about 42 years. No, something like that. Yeah, probably about 42, 43 years, which is quite a lot of time. Probably more than most, actually. But I'm starting to use it in a different way. And in today's video, I'm going to show you my first painting done in this new style. I'm also going to show you my kit, so you'll know what to buy. I've got far more stuff than you need. I'm not going to tell you what the bare minimum you need is, because I'm useless at buying things that are the bare minimum. I tend to buy one in every colour, whether that's clothes or whether that's tubes of paint. So I'm going to let you use your own head as to the colours that you want to choose and the paintbrushes you want. I spent about €100 on the paint. I didn't spend anything at all on the brushes because they were given to me by Etcher. I didn't spend anything on the sketch pocket because I invented it. But what else did I spend money on? Didn't spend money on. Oh, I obviously bought the sketchbook that I used. I think that cost about, I can't remember, not expensive, about maybe 16 euros, something like that. And I bought the ceramic palette that I used, which you can get those for very low amounts of money, just a few euros. I like ceramic for gouache, but I'll talk to you about that in a minute. And finally, I spent money on the sponge that I use for dabbing off the excess paint. But I have to give you a caveat on that. My mum spent money on that. We were in the hardware store and she was buying a few things, and I threw it, sponge in a little plastic box, into her basket, and I meant to pay her back and I didn't. So my mum spent the money. And so anyway, there you go. Okay, let's have a look at the kit and then we'll have a look at the painting process. And I hope that you start feeling the excitement that I'm feeling at the moment about my future gouache journey. Okay, here's my sketch pocket. Now, my sketch pocket comes in black and it comes in white, and I've decided to fill up my white one with my gouache stuff and my black one with my watercolour stuff. But as I said, since I invented the bag and have, I don't know how many in the house, including the samples and everything I have, I could have second colours in each of those media. So I could have a black gouache one and a white gouache one, a black watercolour one and a white and a black gouache one. Because I like to match my outfit. What can I say? All right, so wait till you see the kit. You're going to love this. Everything fits in my sketch pocket, which I'm really, really pleased about. And this is a very portable kit. So now I'm not using my sketch pocket as a sketch pocket per se, in the sense that I'm not using it to paint while I'm standing up. But I am using it to grab and go, and knowing that I'll have everything with me if I do fancy sitting down and painting. All right, I'll just show you the basic contents. So I've got some acrylic markers and I've got some paint brushes. And then I've got the paints all in here. And I'll explain to you how I've done that. Okay, here's the packet of paintbrushes that came from Etcher. Of these, if I was told I had to just take 3 with me, I would take this one, and this one. So we've got a 12 by Etcher. We've got a 2 by Etcher, and it's a rigger. And I'll explain the orange stain on that, by the way. That's very important. And we have another 2 by Etcher. So, woo, there goes one of my brushes. Okay. And the paper can be any paper at all. It can be thin, it can be heavy. Personally, I would go for something from 200 grams upwards, because I like to have a little bit of stiffness to the paper. And for the painting that I am going to show you today, I used Fabriano 300 grams, little A5 sketchbook. But I have a nice one here as well, which is the Hahnemühle 200 grams sketchbook. That would work really well. Now, here's the really fun bit that you're just going to love. In the front, I have all the paints I could possibly want. And I hear you say, but surely with gouache you need loads and loads of tubes or extensive colours. Well, I have got extensive colours here, but I have them very, very neatly packaged up. So this little guy, I bought it from Amazon and I absolutely love it. It's a little stay wet palette. How am I getting this out here at all? Hang on now. Okay, it's a little stay wet palette, and then it clicks into this little collapsible pot. See, and it's a good strong silicone, nice and rubbery, and it's big, so it's going to have loads of water in it. And when it's in place, you can use the back little holes here. I'm not going to put them through because they'll fall out. But you can use the back little holes to keep your paintbrushes. See? So you can stack them up and not have to put them on a surface and make the surface all painty. So that's that. Now I bought 2 of them, but one of them, as you can see, is missing a base. That's because you only need 1 of these with you. Obviously I've got 2 of these, but you only need to bring 1 with you. Well, you could bring 2 if you want. But I couldn't fit 2 of these with paints in my sketch pocket, but that's the beauty of it. I don't need to, because, as I say, just 1 will do. So inside the little Stay Wet palette, you've got this little silicone rubbery lid, and I squeezed some paint from my tubes into the tray, and then you use this bit as a mixing palette. And that's if you really are lightweight. If you're not lightweight, you can bring your ceramic palette with you, which I do when I'm at home. Now, I want to show you the other one I have. This one has been filled up about 3 weeks ago now, and all the paints are still completely wet. Maybe a slight skin is forming on some of them, nothing really. And I've done the whole painting that I'm going to show you with this palette. All I use for this painting that I'm going to show you is this palette here, and this is not cleaned, but it's very easy to clean. Now, before I go any further, I want to give you a warning. This colour here is called bright orange, and it is evil. It's absolute disaster. It gets everywhere. It stains. That's why the handle of the brush is stained orange. It stains everything. It stains your clothes. It stains everything. So I would do without that colour, to be honest. It's the only one that misbehaved completely. And when I was in the art shop the other day, I bought a different orange, which is probably just as lethal. This is neon orange. But the reason I wanted neon orange is because I want to paint workmen in the street wearing day glow clothes. In fact, I should have got neon yellow as well. What was I thinking? Let's get some. So the paint brand is Holbein, and they don't know I exist, so let alone giving me anything for it. But if they want to, that's fine. Please, I love your paints. They're not that expensive, and they are artist quality, and so far I've found them really, really good. Okay, so there's your palettes. There's your palettes. Look at that. Click, click. Nice and neat. Very, very convenient. Very doable. Caveat. Extremely messy, even if you're not using the bright orange. Messy, 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 messy. And that comes on to the reason why a lot of people object to gouache. And in her video for Domestica, Maru has a fantastic solution, which is to take a sponge. This is the one that my mum inadvertently paid for. And obviously soak it in water and then put it into this little box, which you can then take with you. And I used a builder's sponge just because, I don't know why, I thought it might be better quality. And then I remembered I bought this little box a while ago, and I bought it because it was so adorable. And then I kept looking at it going, what a fool you are, Ro, buying things that have got no purpose and your house is full of things like that. But actually this is going to be ideal for gouache painting. I'm going to cut a sponge to fit it, and it's going to be great for very mobile painting, because I can just shove this in a pocket and I think it'll be leak proof. I must try that. So that's it. And then finally I have my magnetic clips that I use to keep the pages down. And here's the painting I did. And I'm going to show you how I did it. If you're like me, you've got a whole world of fun ahead of you. And what I was saying at the beginning about how I want to do colourful paintings. I mean, who doesn't want to do colourful paintings? Who paints? And I'm always very restrained. I'm always very muted. I'm always very careful with my colour choices. And I will remain being careful with my colour choices. And by the way, all those years of observation as a on-location watercolour sketcher, they're the reason I will be able to make amazing gouache paintings, because the rules of values, the rules of drawing properly, the rules of perspective, the rules of light and shadow, they haven't gone anywhere. Whether you're using gouache or whether you're using watercolour, you still have to know all that stuff if you want to make things look, believable and real. If you want to do them fantasy, knock yourself out, go for it. But I like myself to do nice, realistic stuff. Not realistic, but kind of believable. So with that, I'm going to show you the process of what I did, and I hope you enjoy it, and I can feel a whole journey of bright, colourful paintings. By the way, the big difference between this and my watercolour work is that never a pen was used at any point. Only paint. Unless you count the gouache, not the gouache, the white gel pen for the white lettering. So I do have a couple of colourful gel pens in there, acrylic markers. And to be honest, I was only just seeing if they fitted well, and they do. So I'll choose a few that I think will be really useful. I'm not sure which ones yet, if any. But so for now, it's all about the brush and the strokes and just layering the paint. On with the video. Enjoy it. Here's the photo I used. I was very attracted to the sight of those 3 security guards in the sunshine in Houston Station in Dublin. I started by using quite a concentrated mix of Prussian blue and black. I'm not used to using black to darken colours, but in gouache that works very well. So it's quite a concentrated mix, but it is fresh and wet at the moment. And the idea is that I will use a concentrated mix to show the areas that are lit up by the sun, because the values makes the dark bits look really dark. And then when I've got all the shadowy bits down, the patterns on the ceiling, the patterns in the ceiling, and all the metalwork and ironwork and so on, and the shadows that they are throwing onto the platform, then I'm going to use a slightly wetter mix to fill in the floor around it. And what my new learning from gouache is that you can put down a very dilute or a somewhat dilute ground for a background, quite watery, and then you can paint on top the detail or anything you want to be a little bit more, I suppose, darker or stand out, a bit more intense. So that's what I'm doing here, and I'm trying to work quite fast so that I can pick up the edges of the darker, more concentrated bits where the shadows are, and they will blend in quite well to the more dilute bits. I'm being careful of the perspective. Now, I know the name of this video is How to Paint Whimsically from a Photo. And the idea is that I'm not copying it. I mean, I couldn't paint like this, just free and natural and easy, if I was copying it. My goodness, my heart would be broke, as they say here in Ireland, and I really would not be able to do it. So instead, I'm just taking my brush. There's no pen work at all, and I'm just painting on the shapes. Now, in this one, you can see I've added the overhead, I suppose, beam, I-beam, whatever it is. No, it's not an I-beam. Well, whatever. But it's done in ultramarine, and I've sketched out the shapes of the bays in Houston Station using, I suppose, a very dark grey or black. Now, I put on a little bit of a white stripe there with paint, but I didn't like it. And that's the beauty of gouache. Well, it's one of the beauties of gouache. You can make a mistake. You can wait for it to dry a bit, and you can paint directly on top. So in the next one, I waited for all the paint to be dry, and I put on those very pretty mullion work, if that's what you call it, with a white acrylic pen, a gel pen. And now I'm putting on the guys, the 3 guys themselves. And as you can see, I'm just throwing them on straight on top of the somewhat dilute background. It worked so well. It was so easy. It was so easy. It was almost like, do you remember those felt paintings we could do? They weren't paintings, but you remember the felt things that we had as kids where you had all these shapes and felt and you could just stick them on? I used to love those. Anyway, that's what it's a bit like in gouache. You're just sticking on these shapes right on top of the background that you have. It just makes it really easy, really intuitive. So this guy here, the second guy, he had his thumbs hooked into the belt loops of his trousers, which was a lovely pose. So you can see that even though things are kind of simple and easy, you still have to get your shapes right. I don't know how right I got that guy's shapes. No, it's okay. It's okay. Now I'm putting on the first guy's shadow, but no sooner had I done that than I realised I'd forgotten to leave the area white for the sunlight around his shadow. So I put it on afterwards, which is something I would never do in watercolour. I just do all light areas by leaving them white. But in gouache, you can actually add. You can add your whites and your light areas. Now, a small word about my sketch club membership this summer. You may be aware that currently I teach just once a week on Mondays at 6 p.m. Irish time, whatever that time is, summer or winter time. And I teach for 90 minutes. That's on Mondays. It's live, it's recorded. Everybody loves to be at the live if they can, and if they can't, they can watch the recording. And many people are very grateful for that because they just can't be at the live class, which is perfectly normal. But this summer, to kind of go in with a summertime fun vibe, I figured that as well as the watercolour on location classes that I do every Monday, I would add an extra one. Oh, yes. So on Tuesdays, I'm going to do a gouache or fun things class at the same time, 6 o'clock Irish time on Tuesdays. That is, what is that? That is about 1 o'clock in the afternoon in New York. So you can maybe work it out from there because you might know New York time. So what else can I tell you? It costs €50 for my ordinary membership. But this summer, the 3 months of May, June and July, I am doing this extra class for the same price. So for €50, you're going to get 2 classes a week, which is really good value. It's the best value out there. And don't forget, I'm live. I'm live with you if you can make the live class. And I go through everything I'm doing step by step, not speeded up, obviously, as I'm doing in this video here. So therefore, the subjects are going to be considerably simpler. So it's going to be fun. Another thing I'm going to do, nothing to do with gouache, I'm going to do the Celtic alphabet. That's one cool thing I'm going to do this summer on the Tuesday. Go do a little bit of illustration, traditional illustration. Don't have any truck with Procreate illustration. It's not for me. It's okay, but it's not for me. So it's going to be ink and watercolour illustration, gouache illustration, Tuesdays this is. And as I say, Mondays is going to be sketching on location and ink and watercolour. So really, if you'd like to up your art game this summer, don't go any further than my sketch club. And I'll put the link to join the membership of my sketch club in my bio. €50, that's about $50 per month. So you get 4 classes normally, but for May, June and July, you'll get a whopping 8 classes every month, which is really quite something. And what else can I tell you? You have access to my entire archive, which is amazing. You only have to join once and then everything else is automatic. You can cancel any time. And you can contact me as a very valued member of my sketch club. You can contact me anytime. You can join my private Facebook group. You can share your work there. You can ask the community, for we are a very active community. You can ask them for all kinds of help and advice and thoughts and so on. By the way, at this point, I realised that my guy on the right, he was standing far too high against the ticket barrier thing. But because it's gouache, I was able to just move it down a little bit and change up everything. So that's what I mean. You can make mistakes and you can fix them. About the messiness, wear your oldest clothes when you're working with gouache. Even as I went outside to chuck my water into the hedge, it splashed on the grass and got my skirt, and I immediately had to go and wash my skirt. So that was the lethal brilliant orange that I was telling you about earlier. It really is lethal. You can use colouring pencils on top of gouache to great effect, nice textures. So a quick recap of the stages: watery background, strong values. The rough shapes on top of that one is fully dry. Then any details in the background you want. And then finally the foreground, the people and so on. So I hope you've enjoyed that video. I've just caught Ruben for the couple of minutes to have him do his little piece to camera, which he thoroughly resents these days. I hope that you've got something useful out of the painting demo and of course the kit as well. And remember, I would love to meet you if you want to come and join my sketch club. This summer, 3 months of May, June and July, you're going to have gouache on Tuesdays as well as the usual watercolour on Mondays. So you'll find the link to join in the bio. You can hang on till May if you want, or you can join today, up to you. I look forward to meeting you and getting some real fun with gouache going. See you then.